see the names here. This guy is not here. It's supposed to be here, but this is me. And I'm a more political economist. I do economy and industry of the media industries, the Japanese and the Korean media industries. Elad, who will present on paper, working on communication and international relations. And Ira, who sits over there, she's a sociologist, she presented yesterday. And basically what we are trying to do is to bring new insights into Hallyu, into the study of Hallyu. If you look at the literature that deals with Hallyu so far, there are mainly literature that comes from culture studies, privileging the cultural text, the cultural meaning, the cultural practices of Hallyu. Different kinds of studies are, of course, ethnographic studies, like we saw this morning about the food, the culinary culture in Buenos Aires, which goes on the focus studies and try to look at how Hallyu is being expanded, absorbed. Another field of studies is, of course, studies in communication and media, which looks at the political economy, surveys like the one that Jong-il, we just had an outstanding one by Jong-il. And here we're trying actually to use big data in terms of especially the media, the mass communication, and to provide the big picture. Okay? We're not focusing on a certain type, on a certain industry, on a certain case study, but actually try to see, using big data, how Hallyu has changed not only the identity of a group of people, or a group of fans, not only the economy of a specific industry, but actually the international identity of Korea. So and this will be our contribution to Hallyu studies, so we hope. So I will pass on the virtual microphone to Elad, and then later on I'll come back maybe to try to gather everything together.
Thank you. So the questions we're asking, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear it?
1, 2, 3. So the question we're asking is basically who covers South Korea around the world to map the attention, international news attention that Korea gets around the world, and what topics. For that we looked at 58 news sites in 12 different languages. The languages are those that are more popular on the internet. We have English, we have Chinese, we have of course Korean, we have Arabic, and I will show you later if you want the exact specificities of the sources. In each news source we looked at the top news, world news, business and economy, science and technology, and of course entertainment and culture. All in all, we started this process in 2009, and we have 14 years of news, 8 million of news items in different contexts. What you see here is the prominence of different countries in the news. We didn't include here self-mentions, so if American news mentioned the US, we didn't include it, or if the Korean news mentioned Korea. So if you see here 18%, it means that 18% of the news that mention countries in non-American news mention the US. This is the most mentioned country in the world. It's quite obvious, but Korea is actually in the top 10 most mentioned countries. We have China, we have Russia, we have UK, and the European Union, France, Syria, because of the tension there around the Arab Spring, and then South Korea, which is quite interesting. But if you look at the which countries mentioned other countries, so you see here the news from the US, which countries are mentioned in the news from the US? US, China, UK, Russia. South Korea is mentioned at the bottom in 1.5% of the news of American news bottom. South Korea is very popular in China, it's very popular in Japan. Of course it's very popular in South Korea. South Korea mentioned itself 30% of the news. And then it goes down again to countries that are more far away. So there is a regionality here. Countries that are closer mention themselves more. But it's also interesting to see what countries are mentioned by the Korean news. The US, China, Japan, there are countries that influence a lot the attention, and there is North Korea. North Korea actually appears somewhere even more prominent in South Korea sometimes when it comes to hard news. But when it comes to soft news, it's a different story. So let's look at the soft news. What does it mean, soft news? If you break down the topics that are related to South Korea, hard news or hard news are consisting 56% of the news. So most of the attention around the world in South Korea is about the war, the conflicts with North Korea and the involvement of China, Japan, etc. But the second most prominent category, and that's exactly what our conference is about, is the entertainment news. 17% of the news on South Korea are about entertainment. If we want to see the place of South Korean entertainment news only, then it goes a little bit up. It's in the sixth place after US, France, of course, UK, Japan, Germany, and then South Korea, even before China. So you have more interest in entertainment news from Korea than from China. There is no connection to the GDP here. If in the previous graph we could make a case that the GDP is strong here, there is other factors involved. This is the trends that how in every month, how much of what percentage of the news in the entertainment news mentioned South Korea. So we see there is a rise around 2012, which is exactly the beginning of the social media interest and the viral videos like Gangnam Style, but all the interest in cultural products from South Korea around the world started then. And the decline around 2017 to 2018 can be explained in various ways. First, we had the COVID, so there are hardly any entertainment news around the world in general. Even the US was declined in attention. But if you look closely at the attention Chinese news had on South Korea, there is specifically here, you can see here, there is a decline. And only yesterday I learned that there was a censorship in China and they banned entertainment news from Korea. So that's something that we can also see in our data. If we try to see a little bit closer the content, Chinese news has more detailed coverage of the entertainment situation in South Korea. We have celebrity news that are showing that there is even, I would say, the Korean source are cited by the Chinese news in different outlets. For example, the last one, 15 most reliable Korean movies and actors, and there is only one actress. So this is a news that also appeared in Korea and were depicted in China, in the People Daily, before 2016. In the US and in the UK, on the other hand, it's a little bit more general. There is only big events like Nobel Prize or the Gangnam Style when they start. So this is the recognition phase. And more recently, we see more the mainstream phase. So we see the Squid Games a lot in Netflix and other news. But I think what would be more interesting is the category of culture politics. So we see more and more in the last years news that are combining hard and soft news. We see, for example, South Korea split over the role of military service for BTS. We see art gallery that represents how the nation's art has evolved since the Korean War, and then there is the last is K-pop, Blitz for Peace. So there is more and more connections. These are like mental maps. So what we hear on the news is eventually affecting the way we perceive the world, and that's something that is important for us to understand when we try to analyze the content. Last is the slide that shows the influence, the entertainment news in South Korea. So South Korea has companies that it mentions in the entertainment news, and of course the United States is the first, and then Japan is the second. We see a lot of interest from South Korea on the Japanese culture. China is also an important actor here, the United Nations with UNESCO and initiations in the UK, and then you can see also other countries. I'm not exactly expert on the reasons for those other countries and the interest, but you could maybe help me to decipher the different meanings of those graphs theoretically. But these are quite obvious. There is here kind of cultural influence from the big nations on South Korea. So, Lisa, would you like to wrap it up now?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, come back for it. And actually, this is the part where we ask you for your help and your ideas. So, how do you actually try to conceptualize all of this? And these are a few ideas that we have. But actually, going back, I think yesterday, maybe you mentioned the Paduai, Paduai talking about mediascapes, and Paduai tried to tell us, actually to encourage us to think about differently about transnational belonging, about questions related to identities, to create different maps, to create actually maps of people, but he doesn't really explain how to do it, he just encourages. So, so we try to think about what does it mean. So first, actually, the most maybe trivial finding is that entertainment is really important. Look, it's 17%. It's Korea, thanks to entertainment. When talking about entertainment, talking about Hallyu, actually becomes one of Korea's identity in the international community. So this is very important. It has strong implications about it, I think. Both positive and perhaps negative. Negative, I'll start with the negative. If Hallyu will decline, it will really hurt Korea. Then Korea might move, we call it, it brings a lot of attention to Korea. Korea liking, sometimes Korea bashing. But the most dangerous is actually Korea passing. It's better to be in the news, both negative or positive, but actually to be ignored is the worst case. So actually, see how that Hallyu, on the one hand, it provides Korea with a lot of resources and positive images in the international community, but if it will decline, it will really hurt Korea. The second thing is actually what kind of, I think it's quite clear that it changes completely the image of Korea and what we think about Korea. I like to tell the story that the first time I came to Korea, my parents were against it because they said it's very dangerous because of this crazy guy from North Korea and from South Korea. It's quite funny, coming from Israel. Somebody always me about coming to South Korea. But this was the image of my parents, and the image of my sisters or brothers-in-laws was about the technology, so they asked me to buy something from Samsung, and the image of my niece was that she asked me to buy for her the face mask, because for her this is Korea. It's not technology. It's not North Korea. It's face technology. So actually, having such a big place for entertainment on the expense of other images, actually, I think it contributes a lot to the image of Korea and the expectations of it from outside and from inside. So this is some of our ideas. We have still yet to conceptualize actually the finding and put it in a bigger picture, and we'll be very happy to hear your ideas about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.